Mm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. This is the third episode of our Shark Tank season, and we are glad to have Siddharth, who is the founder of Snitch. He's built a 100 crore brand in less than 4 years, and we are really excited to learn from his journey and experience together. So, welcome, Siddharth, and glad to have you as one of our guests.
Hey Samyak, thanks. My pleasure, man.
How
Thanks
how
for
are you
having me.
doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, sir. We're really excited to host this episode, because, as soon as the episode was aired, I think, I went gaga because I've been a user of Snitch since,
Wow.
a long time. And I have written a LinkedIn post also on your entire journey, because I
Oh,
was myself pretty excited about it. And, having all the five sharks invest in a startup, it's actually a really big thing. So first of all, congratulations on the growth, on the investment, and the way forward. Absolutely amazing as to what.
thanks a lot, Samyak. Means a lot.
Yeah. So how's it going? First of all, I'll just ask you, how is it going after Shark Tank? How has it been having five sharks on board, and the order flow after that?
It's been quite overwhelming for us here. Our organic traffic has grown by 25x.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of uh, app downloads that have happened. We've got more than 1 lakh downloads in just last 7 days. Our conversion rates have gone better. In terms of revenue, we've almost at a 3x of the normal number that we've done. At least for the last 10 days, it's been consistent. And look, it was a very overwhelming kind of a response. Never expected it to be, this big, especially, once you're at a decent scale already.
Right, right. Of course, I think your 90 crore figure, which was supposed to be for this year, I think that will cross way beyond the expected
We'll do
number.
120 plus this year.
Wow, amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So that's super good. Yeah. So just going back to maybe your early days, and see how the foundation of Snitch happened. So I know what just wanted to understand. Were you always motivated seeing your father doing, already being in a business, to start your own business? How did it all start? And what helped you to reach where you are today?
Look, I was always passionate about clothing, and my dad was into jewelry. And being the only son, right? Everyone wants that their son would take care of the business that my dad's built. So obviously, this is what I was doing. So I was in a morning college shift in my 11th standard. So my college was from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. And post that, I used to help my dad at his store. But back of the mind, clothing was always something that I was very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, in 2009, I asked my dad that, there's a store just next to the jewelry store. Can
Right.
I, do something into apparels? And he was more than happy. He didn't even ask me why, how, etc. And that's how the journey began. It was a small 350 square foot retail store that I started off with, a mere investment of, I think, about 2 lakh rupees.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the journey started, wherein I used to sell these factory leftover clothes. So Bangalore was a manufacturing hub, and there were a lot of factories around Bangalore who had a lot of surplus stock as well. So I used to sell them in retail. The store did really well. Initially itself, we got very good traction, and slowly a lot of other retailers were interested, and that's when I used to procure more and then sell to other retailers as well in India. And that's how I started scaling that business until 2012. So 2012, something very strange happened while dealing with these factories, right? There was one particular factory who was ready to sell out the fabrics as well. And
Mm-hmm.
this was beautiful shirt fabric. The investment was worth about 20-25 lakhs. I barely had 2.5 lakhs as savings, but I was making at least like a 2.5 to 3 lakhs in that transaction because I had a buyer ready for it.
Understood.
So just borrowed that money and did that transaction. But to my bad luck, the factory had an audit and couldn't dispatch that fabric on time. And that's when I made these small swatches of those fabrics, distributed in the network that I'd built, And there was one particular retailer in Bombay who had about 17, 18 stores at that time. And he called me up and he said, Sid, the fabric is fabulous. Can you make shirts out of it? I was stunned because manufacturing was not my background. Then the real hustle began, wherein I, went around factories in Bangalore. The bigger ones were not ready to do a small MOQ of 200-300 pieces as samples. So found a small unit, sat there for 3-4 weeks, understood the whole process of production, what kind of interlinings and threads, etc. And designed those shirts myself and sent a sample order of 200-300 pieces to him. Over the weekend, all those shirts flew off his counter. Ended up converting that entire 25 lakh worth fabric into shirts and made 6.5 lakh rupees while I was making just 2.5, 3 lakhs
Right.
selling the fabric. That's when I understood manufacturing is a much bigger game. And since 2012 until 2019-20, this is what I was doing. I was doing a lot of white labeling for a lot of brands across India, especially the family owned brands like your V Marts, D Marts, and Chennai Silks, etc. So I mean, scale that business to about 50-60 crores in revenue, and then back of the mind, I always had this that I'm going to start off my brand sometime. So till 2019, I had made enough money for myself, and was a very sorted kind of a life. And but while doing all of this, I observed that every brand was following one particular way of working. That was making collection season wise. So either they had a summer collection or a winter collection. Uh, there was no brand focusing on fashion on a weekly or a monthly basis. While brands like H&M and Zara were disrupting the traditional model of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the gap that I observed. And that was the whole thought process behind starting Snitch. Again, we started off as a B2B brand, wherein we used to make products on the label Snitch and distribute to retailers in India. Uh, we got tremendous response from retailers because the advantage they had was they were getting new styles every single day and plus limited inventory for them as well, right? 30,
Mm-hmm.
40 pieces every day. So it did really well, but then boom, the pandemic hit us and we were like stuck with a huge inventory. And the first thing that came to my mind was maybe go on an Ajio or on Myntra and try and liquidate stock. But then, realized A, we wouldn't be making any money there, and B, the brand would not get any recognition, right? You'll be one
Correct.
among thousands. And that's why we started snitch.co.in July 2020 as a D2C platform and with barely about 35 products, a team of like 4 to 5 members. Our warehouse was like one corner of our office. Yeah, I mean, since then it's been a roller coaster ride. Today, we're shipping more than about 5,500 orders every day.
Wow.
And we have more than 2.5 to 3 lakh visitors every single day on the website. We have almost 8.5 lakh downloads on the app currently. Yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous.
Okay. So now I think you gave your entire journey in a really few minutes, and now just breaking down that into few pieces to how understand how it all happened slowly and steadily. Number one was why apparel in the first place? Because the market is so competitive, there are very big players, plus a lot of them have their entire supply chain sorted, production sorted, product sorted, marketing sorted, and to enter into an industry which is already so competitive with large players, why did you always wanted to get into the apparel side of this thing, and why not jewelry which your dad already had set up? Just wanted to understand your theory behind it.
Yeah, I think passion, right? So I was always passionate about clothing. I mean, during my early days, I used to stand at H&M and Zara stores and predict what is this particular person going to buy. So I was that passionate about clothing. And I think though the market is very cluttered, I strongly believe that once you're there in a market which is of that humongous size, uh, uh, for you to gain attention becomes really easy. Whereas if you are going to create a new category and come up with something very different, it becomes a little difficult to start off with.
Right.
I've always believed in the concept that जहाँ market है वहाँ धंधा है.
But
So even if you open a retail store today, you would only go where there is a market. You will not open it somewhere in one corner and start off. So it was a humongous market. What would we do differently was the question.
Right.
And there we saw the gaps. One was the kind of fashion that was already available in the market, and what different could we do. Second was in terms of quality. Since I had that 7-8 years of experience, I could optimize on the quality front and build that supply chain at the back end.
Correct.
And the third and most important thing is the entire consumer experience that we've given. I think every brand that you see that is made is not by the founder, it's by the customer, right?
Absolutely.
If you are tagged as a brand, it is by the consumer. I cannot say that Snitch is a brand, right?
Mhm.
Or anyone for that matter. It is your consumers who will pass on that thing. So,
Correct.
I mean, yeah, it was a very impulsive decision, you could say, and I was just following my passion that I had for this industry.
Okay. So again, just to understand, you mentioned about standing outside a Zara and H&M store and, kind of predicting what will this guy buy or this girl buy. How does it come? Is it like intuitive, or is it just because of the brand they have out, like the currently what they are wearing, or how does this how just wanted to understand your psychology behind it.
Yeah, always believe, right? If you're building a new age brand, you need to understand human psychology,
Absolutely.
which is, very, very important if you're building a brand that is especially for the Gen Zs. So the reason I used to do it was just as a passion towards clothing, and I used to just, stand and observe if this guy is coming and this is the kind of clothing that he's wearing. What
Right.
is it that he's going to buy?
Right.
And at least 75 to 80% of the times I was right
Okay.
in terms of predicting what is this guy. I mean, especially uh, you know when it comes to men, right? They are
Hmm.
very sober with their dressing, and we saw that we could play with the fabrics, but yet try and be very sober with the
Right.
kind of apparels that we make. Yeah, I mean, it was very intuitive, I would say, and not something that I had planned that this is what I'm going to do, this is what is going to be the research like, etc.
Hmm.
But whenever I used to go to any mall, I used to stand and observe a lot of people in terms of what are they wearing and what would they buy.
Understood. And the second one you said, obviously the brand is made by the consumers, and obviously we need to understand the taste of the consumers to kind of realize that this is what they'll need or this is what I should make. How does that idea come? Because you said that and obviously I'll double click on it again. But you said whenever you used to go to a store to sell the products, or for the when you were doing wholesale, you used to just make a small clutters of clothes and then send it to them. So obviously, every time you need to make new designs, every time you need to get a new feel of what's going on in the market. How does those idea come into your picture? Do you research a lot? Do you like read a lot? How does this all happen in the
Yeah, I
back
mean,
end?
I've always been following a lot of international brands and been doing my kind of research. To be honest, we were one of the first brands who launched cohorts for men. Right?
Right,
There was no brand in India which was making cohort sets for men. And
right.
when we started off this category, a lot of people actually questioned and told us this is very funny. But
Hmm.
then that was like that category actually positioned us in a way where now a lot of brands are doing a lot of cohorts, but still our contribution of sale towards cohorts is humongous. And I think it is the way you understand, your consumers. And what we wanted to do is not overthink a lot,
Hmm.
but just try and understand the minds of consumers in terms of what product to be launched when. During lockdown, we launched a lot of boxers and cohorts which became those relaxed kind of
Right.
clothing where people were working from home, etc. And once the pandemic was almost out, then obviously we got in a very different kind of collection with our chinos and shirts, which people
Hmm.
you could wear it to office, etc. So I think the ability to keep shifting as per the trend and as per the kind of market is very important.
Right. Uh, but how do you manage the production? Because you said, you maintain very small clutters when you launch a new design, and that keeps changing every few days or months. So obviously at that point in time, production also becomes, because you're producing at very small. So I'm not sure whether that's economically also sound, and as well as on the production side in terms of manufacturing also makes sense. So how do you like balance both economically and the manufacturing side of it?
See, when I used to do white labeling, right? So I used to
Yep.
do MOQs from as short as 50 pieces to a maximum of 5,000 also.
Hmm.
So with that, we built a very strong, base with contract manufacturers around Bangalore and Tirupur.
Okay.
So what we do is we occupy the entire capacity of that particular factory. All the raw materials are sourced by us. Just the cutting, stitching, and packing is outsourced.
Understood.
With this, what happens is you are very flexible in terms of, the factory wouldn't know that tomorrow what style is going to come to him and what does he need to do.
Hmm.
So we built that entire tech behind it in terms of, which factory will be doing what, and making smaller batches actually helps you, make products live very fast. Uh,
Understood.
a normal supply chain of a brand like an Arrow or Louis Philippe would be at least 6 months. Once they
Right.
decide on a particular collection, and for them to make it live, it takes them almost 6 to 8 months. Whereas we do that in 20 to 25 days.
Okay.
And this could be done at whatever scale we are, because of
Oh,
the kind
okay.
of supply chain we've built at the back end.
So, like, why do you think that it's a very simple thing which you are doing, to make it more efficient, the processes? Why do you think like larger brands are not able to do this, or is it something that stops them from doing this to kind of do like rotate this cycle every few days or months?
I think it's because of the brand language they've set for themselves, right? If you
Okay.
imagine of a US Polo for that matter, you will
Hmm.
understand that this is a brand which is dedicated towards the sport polo.
Correct.
Or if you think of an Alan Solly or a Louis Philippe, you would imagine formal shirts, formal
Right.
pants,
Right.
blazers, etc. Right? If you imagine of a Super Dry, then they are like hardcore casual brands,
Absolutely.
street wears and those functional wears, etc. But when you think of an H&M or a Zara, you
Hmm.
wouldn't know what you're going to buy once before entering the
Correct.
store.
Correct.
You
Agreed.
might buy a footwear, you might buy a perfume, you might buy a blazer, you might buy a denim also.
Right.
So those are aspirational brands. That is something that you just see and love it.
Hmm.
And I think that is the biggest differentiator why traditional brands cannot pivot themselves this side, because they've been built in such a way, and for them to change this entire cycle will take them years.
Understood. But basically like a brand positioning that a Louis Philippe or a Van Heusen
Absolutely.
is done versus what
Absolutely.
you would be doing. I'm agreed. Understood.
Absolutely.
Understood. So again, like just to make the viewers understand, how does the entire supply chain work here, right? Maybe before supply chain, you want to maybe highlight a bit on how you do the production, how is it designed, like where does the A point start from, and to Z at when it reaches like a end user like me.
The first thing is obviously the design team. So we have a design team of about 7 to 8 people,
Hmm.
wherein I really get involved onto,
Okay.
and we create styles on a daily basis. So there are new styles that are created every day. There is a merchandising team which actually sources materials required on those
Hmm.
designs, and then we have a sampling unit in house where the samples are made. And
Okay.
once the samples are tested and passed, then automatically it goes for production, wherein
Sorry, what
the
is merchandising team mean? What do they do?
uh, sourcing, right? So they would obviously be sourcing the materials that are required to produce one particular design.
And those are sourced out from various
Various suppliers
uh,
across India, yeah.
understood, understood,
Yeah.
understood.
So then obviously it goes towards production where we've kept trigger points when which needs to be done when, and obviously then the cutting happens, and then the stitching, and then the packing, and then it goes off to the warehouse. And the samples that are initially made, all the photo shoot and all the creatives are already prepared and kept ready for us. So as soon as the product reaches the warehouse, it needs to be live.
Okay, okay. So like small buckets, and every team has their own kind of roles to play here. Once the production is done and sampling of the shoot and everything is done of the product. Sorry, go ahead. You're saying something.
Yeah, I mean it's a cycle, right? So
Right.
once that cycle is set, it automatically keeps rotating. So
Correct.
there are essentially there are 3, 4 wings, which is your design, your merchandising, your production, and then your warehousing and
Distribution.
quality check.
Correct.
So once these four are aligned, the supply chain becomes very sorted.
Understood. And sorry, just had one question here. How many days does this entire cycle take to finish? Like one lot or one maybe
So
design
I think
or
ideally, majority of our styles, from the time of a design to making it live happens between 20 to 25 days.
wow, that's quick, right? As per
That's very quick. I
yes.
mean, a traditional brand would take at least 6 to 8 months
Okay.
to make this happen. Yeah.
It's just because of your decision-taking capabilities, your way
Absolutely,
your supply
absolutely,
chain is
absolutely,
distributed and
absolutely,
stuff like that.
absolutely,
And you can
absolutely,
do this at scale as well, even if it's
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we've been doing, right. So when we started off, we were barely doing 30, 40 orders. Today, we do almost 5,500 orders a day,
understood.
which is almost 8,000 pieces a day.
Okay. Okay. And coming to now the Shark Tank side of things. So obviously you have all the five sharks on board. You've got investments from them. I'm not sure at what stage of due diligence or anything you're at, but how does that impact your business going forward? Obviously, right now, because of that airing, you have this insane amount of orders, views, downloads, viewership coming in. But at the end of the day, you just didn't have this goal in mind that I want this one-time boost. You want it constant now. So how does having these sharks who are industry stalwarts help you in getting or gauging that thing in the future?
So, look, we did our Shark Tank episode at the end of August, and that
Correct.
time our revenue for July was, I think, about 9 crores.
Okay.
By December, we were already at 11 crores
Wow.
before the episode was aired.
Mhm.
And I think this month, obviously, we'll do a huge. There'll be a huge spike because of the airing.
Mhm.
But for us, it was more towards getting credibility to the brand, right? Once you have, these five people on your cap table itself, it brings in a lot of credibility to the
Yes.
brand itself.
Yes.
So for me, it was more about the values that these guys would bring in more than the kind of valuation that we are getting. A
Mhm.
lot of people did ask me, 100 crore is your revenue. Why did you agree for a 100 crore valuation?
Mhm.
So valuation was not at all on my head, right? 1.5% of the company cannot decide my valuation. It
Correct.
was more towards the kind of value that these guys would bring in.
Mhm.
So I think the best thing that happened was, we could optimize now in terms of the kind of visits that we've got from consumers and retarget them and keep this going on. And it's not gonna be like this is a temporary scale and then we'll start to flatten
Mhm.
from probably 1 or 2 months. We want to capitalize this as much as we can, keep scaling from here on, and not only see a drop.
Obvious. So obviously, these investors are just a call away or just a WhatsApp away, and you can, take their guidance as and when you want. What exactly, you think, or what exactly does a startup founder need from these kind of sharks or these kind of investors to maybe boost their businesses in terms of product growth, sales, marketing? How does having these kind of investors help you, build a bigger brand from what it is today?
Look, so they've been there and done that, right?
Right.
And everyone's got different expertise. Piyush is amazing with technology. He's built a similar company, I would say, what Snitch is trying to build, but in a
Eyewear industry.
eyewear industry.
Right.
Correct. That's a fast fashion for eyewear.
Correct.
Namita is exceptional with international markets. Anupam has built businesses from scratch. Vinita has built a very successful D2C brand, and Aman, obviously, everyone knows he's a hardcore marketer. And I think what happens is the combination of this, right? And once they are on board, your network becomes phenomenal.
Right.
Today, any kind of help that I require in terms of connecting to someone, it becomes very easy for me.
Mhm.
Whereas earlier I had to go to LinkedIn, approach them, wait for them to reply, etc. So I think there are a lot of things that these guys bring on the table. Apart from obviously the name, it is the kind of credibility you get on your brand, the kind of network that you start to build,
Mhm.
and your net worth is always your network, right? So
Correct.
that is what they help you do. And plus, I think the biggest factor would be it motivates you
Mhm.
when five such people back you. It gives you a very different kind of feeling that hey, I mean, you'll have to keep going now.
Right. Understood. Uh, Again, you mentioned about D2C, right? And now currently you are more D2C than what you were before because you earlier focused on wholesale and because of this pandemic and all, you moved to D2C. Do you think had this pandemic not come, you would still be in the wholesale business only, or you would have moved to D2C?
Absolutely, yes. We would still be that into that wholesale business always. It was just because of the pandemic we shifted our gears. And I think, like I came up from a very different background, right? I had absolutely no knowledge about e-commerce, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and what technologies were and how it needs to be built, etc. But what I did, and Chetan, our CMO, we are childhood friends. So what we did was we studied a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day we spend at least 2-3 hours on YouTube, on Google, just to understand how e-commerce operates and what are the pain points and what is the easiest solution we could bring. I think that was a very big thing because we understood the whole process when it was the right time, right? If I had to start today understanding what marketing is, how Facebook ads are run, it wouldn't help me because we were already at scale. So while we were very small, it helped us because even though we did any errors at that time, did not make any difference. We sat and understood how do you create ads on Facebook, what are pixels like, how do you do retention marketing, how do you control RTO. I didn't even know the meaning of RTO when we
Mm-hmm.
started off, which is return to origin.
Yes.
So I mean, did not even know what is CAC like, what is LTV like, etc. But then once we went inside that, every day was a learning for us.
Mm-hmm. So obviously now marketing plays a very big role when it comes to D2C brands, right? So what do you think is what should you do when you're building a D2C brand in terms of marketing? Like how do you grow on marketing, whether it's performance marketing, influencer marketing, ad campaigns over different social media platforms, or doing just like traditional form of ads? How do you balance or how do you do marketing when you're creating a D2C brand?
I think different things for different brands, but what worked for us is what I can share. One was we were customer obsessed. So we used to interact with a lot of consumers. A lot of our collection has been suggested by our customers, like bootcut denims. We never thought, right, bootcut denims would be back, but today it contributes to a huge sale on our website, and
Agreed.
we started off very early. So a lot of things were told by consumers to us. So I think the first thing that you should be good at is listening to customers.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing, what we did was we made our customers our brand ambassadors. We did
Okay.
not go out and hire a lot of influencers and paid them and ask them to talk stories. So on our website, if you just go on our website, you have a become a brand ambassador campaign,
Mm-hmm.
wherein you just need to click on that, just fill up a small form, and you are the brand ambassador for Snitch, wherein you get incentivized for it, and plus every purchase that happens through your coupon code, you get loyalty points for them.
Mm-hmm.
So what that did was it brought in a lot of organic traffic, even though that customer would have just 200 followers, but those 200 people are very close to him. They know
Mm-hmm.
them personally, right? So this is what actually helped us again bring in customer loyalty, etc. And I think the biggest factor in marketing is your customer experience that you give. You might just show the best of creatives and get a customer on board, but if his experience with the purchase and return is very bad, then it hampers whatever that you've done. So I think we just did what we promised our customers. One was we would drop in new styles every single day. So since our inception, there's not been one day there wherein you come to the website and there's no new style.
Wow.
Second was we promised them that your returns and exchange would be hassle free. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of D2C brands would just write that, but then it's a pain to return.
Mm-hmm.
We made sure that it is absolutely hassle free. We were one of the first D2C brands to give refunds on pickup. Supposedly, Samyak has bought a shirt and he's not happy. He places a return request. As soon as the product is picked up from Samyak, within a few hours, you'll get the refund or exchange, whatever that you've requested for,
Wow.
which is the kind of experience and only an Amazon or a Myntra could give you.
Mm-hmm.
So we invested a lot of time understanding what consumers want. I think that is the biggest marketing that you can do for your brand. Apart from that, I think obviously the kind of brand communication that you do, But overall, just to give you an example, right? Domino's is not the best pizza maker in the world.
Correct.
What they're good at is consistency with taste, consistency with delivery time, and consistency with customer experience.
Right.
Same with Starbucks, right? Starbucks does not make the best coffees in the world,
Hmm.
but what they're good at is customer loyalty.
Correct.
So I think customer loyalty is very important to build a successful D2C brand, and
Hmm.
how you do it is, depends on the kind of audience you're catering to and the kind of segment you are.
Totally makes sense. I had one question, and I have this question because uh, my dad has been in the textile and the apparel industry since I think 3 decades now. All right, and he has a wholesale and a retail store both, right? But my question was, this entire industry is also very scattered. There are a lot of businesses which are traditional, a lot of businesses which have everything sorted, like the big brands, and there are a lot of brands like Snitch who are D2C, very customer focused, very trendy, goes with the current trend. And then there is something like a market in a city, like there is an entire market where there are only clothes store, which is really very unorganized. But they have also been surviving for years because they have that brand loyalty, they have their fixed set of customers, they have the fixed set of wholesalers. Even if there are like 100 shops in the same market, a particular customer buying from that one shop will always go to that shop until unless the quality is hampered, even if that takes another 20 to 50 rupees extra on a particular garment. How can this industry or this unorganized sector in the textile or apparel industry also become an into an organized player like a Snitch or like a traditional brand which has everything sorted from day one?
See, I think this is something that, it is the call of the person who's doing that business,
Hmm.
right? What is his vision like and what does he want to do? A lot of, I have a lot of friends who are sorted on their head that this is what I want to do and this is the kind of life I want to live.
Hmm.
And there are another set of friends who are always exploring and always trying to disrupt what has already been, existent in the
Absolutely.
market. So I think it is a very similar thing, right? One good customer of yours can bring in, say, about five new customers, but one bad customer will take away 50. Same
Absolutely.
happens with unorganized market as well. And whether you're organized or unorganized, this is what is going to happen.
Hmm.
What happens when you build a D2C brand is that your communication with the customer is very direct. It is
Correct.
as good as you are going and buying from a family store that you've always been buying from.
Hmm.
And I think that's why I said understanding human psychology is very important to build successful brands, because you will understand what does the customer want. For example, I think post COVID, a lot of us have not gone to the Spencers and the Spars to buy a lot of
Absolutely.
grocery, right? We've
Hmm.
just been ordering on our phone
Hmm.
because of the convenience that we get, and also because of the quality assurance that we get, plus the customer experience, pricing, everything. So I think it is either these unorganized markets can come on board with such platforms and then start working towards it. I think majority of them have already started doing that.
Right.
And I think in the next 10 to 15 years, a lot of this unorganized market would either vanish away or, probably come in the organized sector.
Understood. Fair point. Fair point. And obviously, when you're comparing the whole, because they do both wholesale and retail as well from the same outlet or the same store, because they have a set of clients. Uh, what do you think? How difficult it is to run a wholesale brand versus a D2C brand, or maybe vice versa? D2C is more difficult than a wholesale running brand.
See, I mean, end of the day, what matters is what is your vision? What do you want to do in life? Right? There are humongous wholesalers who do, 1,000+ crores per year. And it is because the kind of business that they've built over years.
Right.
And the same with D2C as well. So I think, I mean, it really, every business is as challenging as, what it is. Even a guy who's selling something on the streets is, it's not something easy that he starts off tomorrow and he'll start scaling from there on. So I think the basic ethics and the basic essence of business is very important. That is towards, your product, your customer experience, the kind of ethos that you create for your brand, And plus whatever, I mean, maybe you're a street vendor, or you're starting off something new, or you're a wholesaler or anything. It is the customer itself everywhere that will make you successful.
Understood. Understood. No, fair point. Because as I said, as you said, when it comes to D2C, you are more customer centric because you are directly talking to the end user from day one. And when it comes to wholesale, you don't get to get that interaction because you are maybe selling it to a business and then they are doing retail, or they are outsourcing, or they are, acting as a distributor or something like that. So that really plays a very important part. And that's where the entire, I would say, the customer market fit or the product marketing fit, or how you place your brand positioning, as we spoke about the traditional brands versus a brand like Snitch, comes into picture on how they brand position themselves, right? I hope
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. So just a few last thoughts on anyone, starting up, anyone, building a D2C brand. What are the to do's and to don'ts if you are entering into the D2C segment?
I think, yeah, this depends, again, person to person, business to business. I wouldn't say the exact do's and don'ts, because they could change as per the kind of business that you're into. What I would advise is, don't be afraid from taking those risks, and don't be afraid of failures. At least in my life, what I've seen is, whenever I've seen a downside, I've somehow converted that into a new aspect in life, and then grown from there on. So I think whatever happens in life also is for a reason. So all that you need to do is keep backing yourself and just do what you're good at.
Mhm.
And you need to give your everything, and it needs to come from within, not that you've been pushed to do something. I think the basic do's and don'ts would be this only, that you actually back yourself every time, and especially at tough times. And the second most important thing I would say is, have the right friends. Right, for me
Mhm.
especially, that played a very important role, because I had these hustling kind of friends. My childhood friend Ravi, me and him used to sell these detergent soaps to provision stores,
Oh.
on a scooty,
Mhm.
when we were in our 10th standard during the summer holidays. And today he's built a massive business for himself, and I've come this side. So I think that also plays a very important role on what kind of friends you grow up with. And yeah, I mean, it again depends, yeah, industry to industry. The do's and don'ts would be very different, but I strongly feel that you should just follow your instinct and just keep doing what you're good at.
Understood. Um, I think this is really insightful in terms of the hustler mentality that we speak about. A lot of people don't believe that. They'll be like, you should have that work-life balance, you should not hustle so much, you should take it easy. But I think that hustler mentality doesn't come just because you want to hustle. It basically comes because you are passionate about that particular thing
Absolutely.
also, right? You're not
Absolutely. Absolutely right. That's why I said, right, a lot of my friends I have, they are very sorted in life. They
correct.
know this is what they want to do, and this is the kind of money that they're making, and this is what they're happy with. The
Understood.
others are these hustlers who don't care about the money, who don't care about, what is the sleep pattern like, and when will they eat food, etc. They just keep doing things that they really believe in, right? And that has been the side that I've been on. I mean, since we started Snitch, I think prior to that I had a very calm and normal life, when I used to be free by 6 7 o'clock. Today I work almost 14 to 16 hours a day. So I
Mhm.
think it is the kind of passion that you have for that particular industry, and the kind of hunger that you have in you.
Understood. Understood. How important do you think now going forward technology will also play a big part? Like, as you said, Piyush is building a tech company and not just an eyewear company. You have that VR thing on his app where you can wear the specs on VR and, you can check yourself out. Similarly, how will tech evolve in the apparel industry also going forward, and not just, going to the app, putting it in your cart and ordering? Do you think this technology will also evolve in terms of maybe you can try out how does it look on you, or try out different
Absolutely, yeah,
variations?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, we've done a lot of beta testing towards that as well,
Mm-hmm.
and we are launching a lot of content driven ads on our own website, as well as other places. where you could just uh, you could see that influencer wearing that particular attire and then just click on it and buy the product also.
Mm-hmm.
So I think technology obviously plays the most important yeah, I mean aspect, right? Especially when you're scaling, if you don't have that kind of technology, it becomes very difficult for you to catch up with others, or maybe scale your business to that level. When we started off, I think it was more of those impulsive decisions that we were taking.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think 2 years down the line, we are more data centric, and we strongly go through the entire data set that we have of the last 2 years in terms of product line, what needs to be made, what will sell when, in which particular city, etc. So obviously, I mean, technology is the key, and that's the future.
So do you think this, as you spoke, because you spoke about data, I just had one more point, that AI and content, because every company right now is becoming like a content company, because you have to show your product out there on different platforms and stuff. So that's one given. But since data comes into existence, do you think AI also will play a part going forward in the company, to, make sure that you are setting the right standards in terms of which product will sell where, what will be the frequency, what will be the turnaround time, what will be the production time, everything. Do you think AI will also come into the picture going forward, along with
Yeah,
tech?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, it would. Especially with the kind of data analytics that it can do, right? It can give you insights on the kind of designs that would work in which particular city, and then you could run your ad campaigns accordingly. In terms of deliveries, AI is already helping a lot of these logistic partners in
Mhm.
terms of which courier can deliver at one particular pin code, the fastest. So I think obviously a combination of technology and AI is the future. But I think these things were always existent, but not in the form that they are in currently,
Correct.
right? From the time we were kids, we used to see people standing outside stores and calling people inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that was advertisement at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We used to see people displaying clothes on mannequins, and keep changing their
Right.
VMs, etc.
Right.
So it is a very similar kind of thing that is happening, but on a platform.
Right, right. Makes sense. All right. So I think, Siddharth, we've had a wonderful conversation. Just for our audience, do you read a lot? Do you have any book recommendations? Do you have anything which people can read which helped you over the long term in building a brand which you've built today? Any recommendations in terms of
No,
reading,
yaar, I've
watching?
not read one single book. Books make me sleep, so I actually don't read books at all. What I usually do is just spend 1 hour with myself every single day,
Wow.
and just try and understand the kind of day that I've had. What are the good things that I did, and what are the things that I shouldn't have done, or maybe just correct that the next day, etc. So it is just observing the kind of day that I've had, that I do on a very regular basis.
It's more like an introspection on the day that has been and what
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
improve from.
Yeah. And what do I have to do tomorrow? So that
Understood.
1 hour actually helps me understand myself.
Understood. Awesome. I think that I learned a lot from this episode, Siddharth, and I think a lot of people who will be listening when we make this episode live will also have a fun time listening to you. Thanks for building such a wonderful brand, which India needs right now, and I think a lot of people would love your brand going forward, and looking forward to some new stuff every day on your website and
Absolutely.
coming forward. Thanks for building such a great
Absolutely.
brand.
Thanks. You're up. My pleasure, and thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking your time. I think you're unwell, but
Yeah, a little bit, but since I promised Samarth, so I was like,
yeah.
okay, let's do
Uh,
this.
so sorry. We could have rescheduled
Absolutely.
it, but
No, that's
I
okay.
also should have asked him before. But thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time out. Take care and
Thanks, Samyak.
have a great time going forward.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Samyak. You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
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 Yeah, bye, Samyak. Bye.